Jazzcast Pros.
Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Healing Her Within. They say that love is blind, but sometimes it's not blindness, it's a hunger so deep for love, for belonging, for acceptance, that we ignore all the red flags that are right in front of us. Today, I want to share a chapter of my story, a time when I was what I called a relationship junkie. And it is also the title of my very first chapter in my first anthology project. I kept going back. I kept ignoring the red flags because the thought of being alone scared me more than the reality of being mistreated, of being cheated on, of being in a toxic and unhealthy relationship. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know that you are not alone. I've been there, and I promise you that there is a way out. You just have to get to that point, and we're going to share a little bit about that today. I remember one moment so vividly when the phone rang, and instead of answering the phone that was right next to him, he sprinted downstairs to pick up the phone in the kitchen. That gut feeling hit me hard, but I pushed it aside. It wasn't the first time that I ignored my intuition. When you've abandoned that inner voice, you open up yourself for being mistreated and for accepting things that you know you don't deserve. When you have experienced abandonment issues, when you feel you've been mistreated, or when you have been mistreated in previous relationships, or when you're made to feel like you're not good enough, that you're not worthy, you start to think that those red flags are just part of love. Looking back, those were my early warning signs, moments where my spirit whispered to me, "You don't belong here." But because I lacked confidence, because I was never truly shown what real love and genuine love looked like, I silenced that voice. I silenced the whispered. How I got pulled in. All right, let's go back. So, after ending a very different relationship, I met someone in the most random ways at a tint shop where I was getting my car windows tinted. He was charming, he was confident, and persistent. And as someone who liked being chased, ladies, you know what I'm talking about. You like that attention. And again, that deep voice within, that intuition, that gut feeling, we ignore it because, again, that chase gives us a high. And at first, I was not really interested in him, but the loneliness has a way of convincing you to settle. Before I knew it, I was spending more time with him, and eventually we moved in. Not because it was love, but because my lease was up and I had nowhere to go. And desperation made me think it was my only option. Now, had I paused, had I really reflected, had I had a conversation with my landlord, I'm pretty sure that we could have worked it out. Maybe even asked for an extension or something like that. I could have explored my options. But again, feeling desperate made me think that this was my only option. So I ended up moving in with him. And I ended up losing myself. In the beginning, things seemed fine. But slowly, I started losing pieces of myself. I stopped going to church. I lost touch with friends. I gave so much of myself, my energy, my time, my dreams. I disappeared in the process. Part of me thought that was love, taking care of their struggles, taking in their insecurities, taking in their dreams as my own. I became one with that person. That was me. And that is why I had been taught what love was. You basically neglected yourself to become that other person. Their needs became your needs. Their wants became your wants. Their dreams became your dreams. Hell, their debt became your debt. But that was not love. And that is not love. That was me trying to earn my worth through someone else's acceptance. And the thing about it is that he never laid a hand on me. So I was not in a physically abusive relationship. And that's where I want to shift this conversation. Abuse without bruises is a thing. Oftentimes, people think about domestic violence or a victim of domestic violence as someone who has been physically attacked, someone who has bruises all over their bodies, someone who has a black eye, someone who has been beaten. But let me tell you, domestic violence comes in many different forms. He was never physically abusive at first, but the control was there. What I wore, who I saw, where I went. And over time, the mental and emotional abuse chipped away at my core. People don't always understand that abuse can be invisible. Words can bruise the soul more deeply than fists ever could. And if you are someone who is in an abusive relationship, if you are someone who is a victim of domestic violence, first and foremost, seek help. Seek help, seek protection, because safety over anything else. And I will also put some resources in the show notes for you to seek help if you feel or if you are in a domestic violence relationship, if you are in an unhealthy and toxic relationship, there is help out there. For me, the breaking point. So one day I discovered photos of another woman taken inside of our home. And when I confronted him, things turned physical. He shoved me against the wall, and in that moment, something inside of me woke up. I realized the common denominator in all of my relationship was me. And when I tell you that this was an awakening moment for me, but it also shifted something. It was like I had to take a responsibility for putting myself in these situations. That wasn't about blame. It was about reclaiming my power. I couldn't keep expecting something different. I couldn't keep expecting a different outcome if I kept choosing from the same wounded place. I couldn't expect somebody different when I was the same person. I kept on choosing the same individuals. No, reverse. I kept on choosing different individuals, but I was the same wounded, unhealthy, unhealed person. So I reached out to a friend and I made a plan to escape and a promise to myself. So, with the help of my one and only true friend who stuck by my side and a lot of prayer, I left. In December of 2007, I moved into a small apartment with my kids. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was ours. And I promised myself that I would stop chasing relationships and I would start chasing healing. I wait for the kind of love that God saw fit to bring into my life, starting with the love I gave myself. And again, because this is just a quick synopsis, quick summary of my chapter, Relationship Junkie, in my first anthology project, Womb Sister Chronicles, Women Overcoming Men Blues, I will put in the show notes a link if you would like to purchase the book. But before that, I want to leave you with 3 tips to move forward. If you're listening to this and you feel stuck, here's what I want you to remember. Number one, learn to sit with yourself before you sit with someone else. Your own company should feel like home before anyone else's does. And again, as someone who has experienced and felt abandonment issues, fearing of feelings of being by myself, of feeling empty, of being rejected, I know what it's like to have those feelings of loneliness. But the reality is that sometimes you can be more alone in the company of someone else than you are being actually alone and single. So being with your own company should feel like home, should be safe, should be nurturing, should be loving, and should be kind before you are in the company of anyone else. Number two, listen to your gut first. Listen to that gut feeling the first time it alerts you to something. Women, our gut, our intuition is so high, but we often ignore that voice. That inner voice is a God given gift. Stop silencing it to protect someone else's comfort. Number three, break the cycle by healing the common denominator. And I know that this is a tough one, but it's the truth. Think about of all the relationships that you have been in. Every single time that you meet someone and it does not work out and you move on to the next relationship, that relationship does not work out. Who is the common denominator? Not the individual, because that person is long gone. You are the common denominator. So if the endings are the same, the work starts within. Heal the wounds that keep drawing you back to that same kind of pain. You are worth more than the bare minimum, and you don't have to wait for someone else to set you free. You are the key to setting yourself free. So again, they say that love is blind, but sometimes it's not blindness, it's a hunger so deep for love and belonging that we ignore what's right in front of us. Let what's right in front of you be nurturing, be caring, be supportive, be safe. I will catch you here next week on another episode of Healing Her Within. And if you have found this helpful, please share this with a friend or two who may need a little reminder that they are more than enough, they are more than worthy. And please remember that you are a priority and you matter, and love never, ever hurts.